Hey people, this is the ceiling of the temple at Dendara. I'm not even going to look at what Wiki says about it. I'm sure they have no idea. It's pretty huge. The columns appear to be about 10 foot wide themselves. And the ceiling held up real well. Where they came and they were destroying the writings on the walls, the ceiling held up. Just a couple of spots they destroyed. And this artwork up there, it looks like this. It kind of looks like Taurus. This kind of looks like Moses here, got the 10 Commandments on his head, and he's got that hypnotized snake staff. But all these writings you see in the border here, this end goes down, and they read from the top down. And this is all reading in this direction. And the section I want to look at here, this is, you could probably park about 80 cars on top of there if that was the floor. It's about how big that is. And I was pulling some pieces off of Google here. I get a good image of and piece them together when I seen this. But this is Neith here. This is Neith, and this is the ancient god, a creator of days. And so the story is, she's barefoot and pregnant over here, and she spits up the sun every morning. She gives birth to a son. And then the old scarab beetle over here, this is the Lord, Is-Scarab. That's the Greek word for the Lord. And his Scarab, she spits the sun up in his Scarab, and he takes and weighs it up and judges it. And so then Scarab, puts the sun in the boat with a Horus, the hours, in Scarab, and he weighs it up and puts a name on that day and puts it in the boat with hours, and hours in the sun, they row across the hours on of. That's the Greek word for across the heavens. The hour and on of, and they go fishing wherever, and then they get to the end over here. It's a sunset, and Horus will drop the sun off over here, and then Neith will eat the sun, and so that's where your word beneath comes from. Where's the sun at, pops? Well, it's beneath. B-N Neith, Neith done A it, beneath. The ancient Egyptian language is English. And so while I was looking at this, I noticed that all the writings, they're reading upright like this. And all these writings on the borders in between here, they all turn up this way. They're all read like this. Everything sits up right this way. But I noticed if you turned up this way where everything else is upside down, and it looks like maybe this is Serapes, got pig's ears and his nose is ripped off and a pot on his head. If you turn him upright, there's two pieces, two opposite corners that read in this direction, here and here. And some of these were hard to read. I found around, I pieced this one here. You can see it's I just laid it over on the paint and it matched up almost perfectly. And it's a little clearer to read here. I imagine this is the old pig-eared God talking over here, because it's the only words aligned with his head, coming from the sun right here beside. And you can see this border here that disappears here, so it's just this one part that reads, and it's the easiest part to read on here, I believe. And so it starts reading right here. This flag, you see how this flag, there's a little bit of white underneath it. It's not quite connected. And so that tells me that this reads first. This flag replaces an NTR, and it's used for words where our word enter comes from, under, entry, but also where the word turn comes from. And that's kind of what this says here is apostrophe. And so you read it, NTR, and this is NB in nub. And what it is, it's a picture of the cup without the handle. The cup's gone. This is just what's in the cup. Be the water. Don't be the vessel. Be what fill the vessel. Be what's in the vessel. The living, the motion, the water inside. And so this read as a NTRNB. And this here is a handle. It's a what. What is a handle? It's a name, Hey, what is this thing? And so to replace the word what, you're going to tell me the name of it is a what. It's a UT, connected mark. What do you call this thing here? And so this is in turn in what? In turn of what? And that's what an apostrophe is. When you're at the play, at the theater, all the show starts up here at the left of the stage. And as the band plays and the show goes on, it all moves. Everything's moving. You see the guy up top moving the sun or the moon, whatever. It's always moving toward the west, toward the right of the stage. Exit stage right. It's evening. And then when you get to the end, then it comes apostrophe. And this is where the story turns and comes the next day. And so they go backstage, or they go inside, they go beneath, under the stage, and they run over to the other side to start Act 2 again. And so this is reading is, in turn of what? NVUT, NTRNVUT, in turn of what? And this represents the night sky, and it's just replaced with a PT to fit. In the turn of what fit? And then the T and the CH, tech. And this is in the Greek Bible, this is the word for the children, but it's also where the word technology and to teach comes from. And then you have this owl, this is the letter M, and he's sitting on the S. It's like here, the what is on top of the NBC. Reading underneath first, the NBUT, NTR, NBUT. And so here the owl, he's sitting on the S. So you're reading the SM. That's Shem. That's the sons of Noah. That's the story of the flood. You look in the Bible, it goes up to 5 chapters. At the end of the 5th chapter, Shem's born. Shem is the name. And then it goes to 5 chapters of the flood. 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 are all flooded. Then it gets to 11. And then that's the book of Shem again. That's the Tower of Babel is the book of Shem. Shem is the names, and it was changing the names. And so that's what this says is TCH, to teach, the tech. The teach, SM, the teachism, to teach the names. And this is the Egyptian hand that represents the letter D. Just means through, same as the letter D, the rest of them. And then you turn it up, and the egg. Egg is where your word edge comes from, ancient Nordic word. The edge, where's the sun come from is born every day from the egg. The egg comes out of the edge. At the beginning of your life, you're on the edge. You're just being born. You're the egg. And in turn of what fit teaches them through. In turn of what fit teaches them through. And this, I'm not interpreting this, I'm reading this the way it was written. This is the pronunciation that ancient Egyptians give it. It means in turn of what fit. To turn what fit teaches the names through. And so this is what I read about in the Hebrew all the time. It's always talking about the names of the days. And that's what this is doing, is teaching the names of the days, teaching about the calendar. So in the beginning, and he made them in God's image. The word is the big nose, pig nose, fig nose. I'm not too sure if that's a F-I-G, a P-I-G, or a B-I-G. But somebody didn't want us to know what the nose looked like. But he damn sure had pig's ears. And you can't deny that's pig's ears. And so some people might read that as enter in of what night. And so now you know what enter into the night means. It means, read it backwards, the other way. At night, the sun enters and it goes the other way. You don't see it because it's beneath. So if this ain't what you learn in Egyptology class, I know I differ. Most of my signs, I read them the same as they do. They just read backwards often. They'll tell you the reason, in Egypt, a lot of this art, they have 2 right hands or 2 left hands. And they'll tell you it's because the artist, he had to look at his left hand while he drew with his right, so he could only draw with one hand. And that's a crock of shit. You look over here and it's plainly showing you that I got both hands. And you look and she's got one tit. And what it means is she goes both ways. You got to read it both ways. Sometimes you read it from the left, sometimes you read it from the right. But all this shit that's writ upside down, It's trying to tell you to read it both ways. You get out here to the middle and you see that he's looking both ways. And so this would be the cast up here. The cast, they always get something, he gets a mask so you can tell who that is when you're looking to play, because you can't hear everything. They hollering pretty loud, but you have to see a lot of the images to understand what's going on. Somebody who's looking both ways, they're a thief. A cat, he knows it all. A musician, if you call somebody a cat, means he can come up there and play every instrument you got. Knows every tune. And the bull, you see he's plainly black, and he's got his head turned as far as you could turn it. That's definitely Nig, the mad bull. It's just, he represents the NG. And that's the same NG you see in KING, the king. And it's the same NG you see in NIGER, the black. When he turns his head sideways, he snorts at you. And I found somewhere in the Bible, I'm about to backtrack and find that. But it was talking about when he snorts. You walk out in the field, you see a bull way over there in the distance. He's going to turn his head sideways and look back at you. And he's going to snort. You should be running right now. He's fixing to come. If he snorted, there's no chance he's not going to chase you. And so Google's a bitch these days. It used to be a lot easier to search images. Google made it a whole lot more difficult. They always pull up the ones that somebody's trying to sell you something. It's a lot harder for me to steal information off the internet these days. They don't want you to pick up nothing that's not patented so they can't pull it down later. They just try to make it difficult. And I'm going to cut this off here. And good day.